Welcome to Just Minded My Business Media, LLC, where you get information that you can use. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. But before we dive in, subscribe to Just Minded My Business on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Share Just Minded My Business with your family, friends, and colleagues. Engage with us by leaving a review or comment. Your support keeps this podcast going and growing. Visit our website at jmmbmediallc.com to learn how we can support you in getting more visibility on your products and services. So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use. Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, where you get information that you can use. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use. Wow, I am so happy to bring to you today Vince Shorb. I said that right?
Sure, but hey, it's as long as you call me something nice, I don't mind.
Vince is one of the country's leading advocates for promoting financial literacy and a thought leader in teaching and scaling financial education programming. Shorb has led the NFEC in the development of 2,500 literacy programs and development of over 80 financial literacy assets. He has been featured in publications on USA Today, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Forbes, CNN Money, MoneyWatch, Fox Business, Huffington Post, NASDAQ and Business Insider. After spending 15 years in financial services working one-on-one with more than 20,000 people, he founded the National Financial Educators Council, an organization dedicated to combating the financial literacy epidemic. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So much for having me, Ida. It's great to be here.
Yes, great to have you. And finances is always an important conversation because so many people have different mindsets around money. And a lot of it is based on how they were brought up and
True, very true.
and not taking the time to get rid of those things that wasn't serving them around money. So let's jump into this. So your personal financial journey, let's talk about that, how you arrived to where you are.
Yeah, early on, I realized, hey, school, what they were teaching me there wasn't really going to apply to my life. About my sophomore year in high school, I'm like, why am I learning this? I'm never going to try to balance a periodic table of elements. I don't like biology. I care less about advanced math. And once I realized that I didn't need to know that to make money, take care of my family, and live a lifestyle I wanted, then my mind changed and I started a lot of study on personal finance. My main study then was real estate. I loved real estate, entrepreneurship, so I was always in the back of class studying those books. And I had some early success, bought some real estate when I was still a teenager, had some early businesses that didn't blow up, but they were good learning experiences, and I made some money there. So I had some good early experiences, and I really enjoyed when people, my parents, friends, other people would ask me how I did it. Can I help them buy a home? Can I do their budget? I really enjoyed that aspect. But then I got a little overconfident. I made some mistakes. I made some investments on cash advances on my credit card that didn't pan out. And it cost me, right? It cost me years, stress, worry. Hey, am I going to be able to make it to anywhere to work and earn money with my car? Is it going to break down on the way? Hey, can I, how cheap can I eat tonight? Where's those 25-cent taco deals? And so I really went through years of struggle, and I realized, hey, it had a spillover effect, not just on my pocketbook and wallet, but my entire life, relationships, how I felt about myself, other things. So I really wanted to help people avoid that. I got into financial services. I was there for 15 years, a variety of fields. And I really felt at the end I was putting band-aids on people's situation. Like what you said at the beginning, it's largely behavioral. And when I entered in and founded the National Financial Educators Council in 2006, I started to really study on that too, because I come from a very analytical, logical mindset. And to put two and two together where, hey, there's these behaviors, emotions, past habits, what we learn from our parents, advertisers, that are impacting how we're managing our money. It really helped us grow the company and really serve people better and meet them where they're at and elevate them from there. So now we're training financial educators and coaches to bring this into their local communities to serve kids, teens, and even adults.
Yes, wow. And I just love that you focus on kids because, in my opinion, that's where it should start when you're a kid. No matter what your family dynamics are, you need to learn that about money. You just need to learn. So, when should people start with their kids?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and I'm glad you realize that. And studies show that the biggest study out there was from Brown University. They did a survey of 50,000 youth and their families, and they found that work ethic and financial habits formed by age 9. Other studies point to earlier, but that was the biggest one we saw. So your intuition is right on. And today kids are a lot different than when I grew up. Right, when I grew up, there was TV, radio, billboards, right?
Right.
Nowadays, you have multiple, marketing messages coming at you with a consistent stream throughout the day. So they're influenced by not only their parents and their close relatives, but by advertisers, by influencers,
Mm,
by their peers. Just a behavioral finance aspect is we as humans feel we deserve what other people that we consider our peers have. So there's a lot of pressure on youth today, and I think we're really shaping consumers, right, as opposed to savers and investors and growers and contributors. So those habits form young. We're big advocates for teaching kids at home, parents getting involved with that education very early. And there's fun ways to do it, through teachable moments. If you're shopping for soup and you're comparing to, bring your kid involved, bringing them to the bank. We can do little ways, and we can also do structured education. But we're also big advocates for bringing financial literacy into schools.
yeah.
Most kids today will graduate having never learned any personal finance lesson through their entire 12 years of school. They'll graduate today completely unprepared for the financial realities of life. And when you really think, they graduate after 12 years, they don't even have a resume. They've never filled out, they don't know how to interview. They haven't practiced those basic skills to earn
Mhm.
money, let alone how to manage money they earn. It's quite shocking when you consider that all that schooling, and really they have no idea what the real world has in store for them.
Yes, and it's funny you talk about that because I was in a program in Baltimore where I would have to go to the schools and talk to them about it was basically about the STEM program, but the first thing we would ask them is what kind of car you want. And everybody wants a Maserati. Everybody wants what is it? The high-end car. And it's like they had no clue of what all of that meant. They just want that. So then we had to go over like a paycheck stub and all of that kind of stuff and show them like this is what rent costs, this is what food would cost, utilities. And by the time we took that paycheck and deducted all that stuff, there's no money for a Maserati at all. And then my experience when I was coming up, we didn't get taught financial literacy. I remember to this day, my first job, I got my paycheck and I was like, who is FICA? I did not
Why are they
authorize
taking my money?
FICA. Right. I was done when I saw all of that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So you're so on it then in terms of getting this education in the school systems. So your organization, how are you working in the school systems to get this information there?
Yeah, we're big advocates for raising standards in schools. Even the states that have mandates to teach personal finance, it doesn't even meet minimum education standards,
Hmm.
nor does it prepare kids for the near-term life decisions, right? I just reviewed Massachusetts bill promoting financial literacy in schools, and they list 40 random topics they want a teacher to cover in 50 hours, right? And topics included online stock trading, cryptocurrencies, all this.
Oh,
So it just it's not I mean that would be great if we had 4 years of education where we could teach them really everything about personal finance, but in 50 hours, I think we need to focus on near-term life events, moving out on your own,
yeah.
considering student loan debt, how to avoid debt, how to protect your credit. These are major pitfalls where people
Yes.
make major mistakes and it lasts with them for many, many years. Now, I'm all about teaching youth about money, investing and growing their money, but first we need to establish a foundation. So we're advocating, we have written a policy and framework for policymakers out there enacting these financial literacy bills because every state we reviewed absolutely fails to meet those minimum education standards and does not prepare kids for the near-term challenges. So we're working with them on the legislative side to really promote higher standards to meet at least the minimum standards that a math or science or English class would require. We also work a lot with individual teachers and school districts and individual schools
Hmm.
to train their teachers to implement quality programming. The trouble there is oftentimes they're handcuffed. So the politician will say, hey, you have to teach this, but we're teaching them, hey, there's a better way and more important things to teach. So there's often a little battle there that we need to, go to bat with them for. But the end result, hey, we want what is best for the youth. We want to make a positive change in their life. I'd be so happy if every kid I can confidently say, hey, they're graduating with the skills and knowledge to be self-sufficient and contributing members of society. That would be that's what drives me, and that's why we're so heavily promoting higher standards in schools.
Yes, and that's so critical because I mean, we already see the adults that are dealing with money. I mean, our government, every fiscal year, they can't balance the budget. And I'm like done with that. I don't understand that to save my life. How you can't, how you not counting the money? I mean,
Yeah,
if I did my house like that, we would be homeless. True.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even the way they manage the budget, we're 30 plus $1 trillion deficit. I mean, that's going to be
Yes.
carrying over for our kids. So it's even more important our kids are prepared, because with that money owed, they're going to face higher taxes, higher burdens of that nature, less resources, less support available. So, again, I want to stay positive on the future for them, but again, I want them prepared because there could be some severe circumstances coming out in the future. I just want them ready for it.
Yes, and that's so important. So let's just, for our audience, let's just define financial literacy. So that way we make sure everybody is clear on what that really means.
Yeah, great question. The actual definition is having the knowledge on personal finance topics, right? So they know personal finance topics. Now, those in the industry, we look at it on a broader spectrum rather than just the definition. So we look at, hey, do they have the knowledge? Have we shaped positive behaviors? Are they confident in making decisions when they do have to are faced with a decision? Do they have the systems and team members in place to execute those decisions? And do they have an overall plan? So it's outside the literal definition of financial literacy, but we feel all those components really will help us, graduate a student that is capable of making qualified decisions that will not only in the near term help them, but also in the long term. So that's our broader definition of financial literacy.
Yeah, so if people want to work with you, how do they connect with you?
Anybody can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Vince Shorb, Shorb. Happy to connect with anybody passionate about bringing financial education to their local area. In addition, we have a website, financialeducatorscouncil.org, financialeducatorscouncil.org. Happy to connect with you there as well.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you're here because I started teaching my son about money at 6, actually. We started his little savings account. I taught him how to fill out his little deposit slip. We actually talked about commercials and what they were designed for. We talked about that. And as he got older, we talked about rainy day. I mean, in the world, the real rain comes down. We always have some rain. So it's the same thing with finances. You always going to have something that comes from the left that's going to cost, and you're going to need to
Very
be
true.
prepared. And now at 27, he is such a frugal with his money. He is, I mean, his shoes sometimes I gotta like, do we need to have a funeral for those shoes? You know, he, he is so frugal with his money. He saves. He's not one of those people that gotta have name brand. He don't care about name brand, honestly. And I'm just happy that I instilled that in him at a younger age because I told him everybody got a name. If you go to buy a basketball from Walmart, it's what, five, maybe $10. If you buy it from Michael Jordan, it might cost you $100 million because of
True.
the name. So when I
True. Yeah.
did that analogy, he got it. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important. Now, I know we're talking about kids, but sometimes we need to get that over to adults as well because throughout their life they have had this ideology about money based on their childhood and they never worked through that. So how do you help adults with that?
Adults are actually trickier. With youth, we can actually mold positive behaviors like you did with your son, and every parent out there should follow your lead. That's exactly what to do. Um, but adults are trickier because every adult has a different situation, different goals, different challenges they're going through now, different near-term needs. So it gets a little more challenging, right? And also there's anytime you make mistakes, it kind of weighs on you. Right. So
Mhm.
there's some, and I remember back in my day when I got into financial trouble, when I got the credit card bill in the mail, I did not want to open them. I had to stack them up, then I'd open them real fast and look. I'm like, oh damn, right. But when investments were doing well and things, I was always excited to open and look. Oh great, So it's hard to face sometimes the reality of a situation. So working with adults, it's largely behavioral. We need to look at and serve them when they're ready to make positive changes in their life. Some people feel so beat up over the years and they just never get ahead and there's like, almost feeling like giving up. And when they lose that hope, it's really hard to train somebody. So when we work with adults, we need to establish where they're at right now, how they're feeling about their personal finances. If we need to reestablish that hope and help them develop reasons to make some positive changes when it comes to their money and their life. And then narrow the scope down. So, when you look at personal finance, it can seem overwhelming. There's so many things to do. What our coaches do is they narrow the scope down to what's most important and urgent right now.
Mhm.
So if somebody's, have at a job where they're, say, underpaid, their skills are above that. Well, the most important and urgent thing may be to find a job that's going to pay them what their skills are worth, or maybe they're at the skill level, but they need to get paid more. Well, that important and urgent aspect would be developing core skills in that area so they can get another job or get a promotion. Um, and it can go with the credit or improving their credit, improving anything in their personal finances. So what we find is when we can narrow that scope and help people tackle things strategically, it's a big eye opener for anybody going through financial challenges. If you feel overwhelmed, try that. Define, hey, what it is, the problems you're having, and it really boils down to three areas, right? And the key goal is, are you able to save on a regular basis? If the answer is no, it's either you need to earn more or you need to cut down your expenses. So
Mhm.
simplifying it to that. And then once you do that, say, okay, where's the most urgent area in your life and addressing that. I think that's a great way to start. It makes it feel manageable rather than I need to fix all my finances today. No, let's address one thing, build off the success, gain momentum, and move forward from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about long-term goals and how we make financial decisions that really don't align with the long-term goals. And how,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know why people do that, but
Yeah, I think one thing is they don't really have clear goals. A lot of people our coaches work with, they don't have established goals. They'll say, "Hey, what are your goals?" "I want to buy a home." "Okay, when?" "Well, it's sometime in the future." "Okay, well, let's narrow that down. When do you want to buy a home? 2, 3, 4 years, 10 years, right?" The time matters because that will place a certain amount of urgency on things that you do. So first step I always tell people is have very clear goals
Mhm.
written down and dates on them. It's basic goal setting right here from everybody, but it does make a difference because then you can create a plan, which is your long-term goals just listed out. So you have a pathway to move forward. And I think plans are important in every area of your life, whether it be money, spirituality, relationships, having something that will help direct you, and work toward improving certain areas, I think is very important.
Mhm.
And then once you have a plan, make sure it's just not put away. It's easy to, forget, and as humans, we crave pleasure. We shun pain and we crave pleasure. That's just how it is. And if that,
Yes.
going out to that $100 meal is more pleasurable than saving for that home, then we're gonna just do that. But if we have written goals and we have reasons behind those goals, hey, I want a home for security for my family. I want to get away from this area in a more secure area. I want to pass this down to generations. And there's some motivation behind that. Then it's like, hey, I can go out and have this nice whiskey, steak dinner, and a couple cigars, or I can make sure my son and family are taken care of. And when you can compare those two things, we can every decision is we have to make a choice of two things. And if we can build up enough reasons with the longer term positive goals, it's still okay to go out sometimes, but if we can limit that, to
Mhm.
in moderation, it's always a good thing.
Yes. So you got to give up something to get something. And,
True.
and that's just the way it is. If you want something, it's just not going to drop in your lap. You got to do something. Wow, this has been awesome, Vince. You hit it right on the nose. And your organization. Now, if I wanted to bring that to my community, tell me some of the steps that I would need to do.
Yeah. So first with everything, I think a key backbone is the qualifications of that person leading it
Okay.
and their ability to bring that a quality program there. And we offer training. So we offer professional development training to make sure, hey, they feel confident, they know the best practices, research-based education methodologies, and those things that will help them actually be that consultant for their community. Every community is different. I grew up in Orange County. One side of the train tracks was rich, other side was really poor, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was completely different mindsets there. So when you have that knowledge of the community and that consultative mindset that we train you on, you can
Right.
really serve every type of group and their special needs. Then it's having good quality materials, right? Hey, what are you going to utilize for these different groups you're serving? Maybe, for some of the groups you're serving, they're thinking about buying a home. Other groups are thinking about getting out of debt. What materials are you going to bring there? We provide that. I think the biggest support we provide is the processes, procedures, and the systems to actually run a program. So it makes it have that professional quality feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it's, hey, measuring outcomes and getting funding or earning revenue to be able to scale the program. So really soup to nuts. Our goal is to deliver a turnkey program. And the reason we started doing this is when we started 18 years ago, we were like who we serve now, boots on the ground, doing financial education, doing financial coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nobody there to share information or teach you how to do it. So we had to figure out the hard way, right? And it took us 2, 3 years to have systems in place and processes where we can really serve groups on a very efficient manner. And it went from local libraries, 10, 20 people to 1,000 person plus venues with celebrities and sports stars. So it really grew once we figured out those methods, and that's what we share. So it's not just we're telling somebody, we're sharing our experiences and how we serve communities. And our goal is to really have a cornerstone in
Mm-hmm.
every community where they can say, hey, I'm going to go talk to this person about personal finance because I trust them. They do good programs and I need support.
Mm-hmm. So you got it all. You've already went through the work, the trials and tribulations of it. So now you are helping other organizations who want to deliver that in their communities, their schools, be able to deliver that in a professional manner. So that is awesome, Vince. Wow. That is really awesome. And that's, you anointed position to be in, to be able to help people understand finances and be able to manage their finances in order to have a better life. Because who wants to be worrying about money all the time?
That's
Nobody.
it. Nobody. When you look at, human needs, I mean, hey, you need security, safety, you need, emotional
Yes.
esteem. You need those things. And, it's like, again, it's money's one aspect. We were chatting before, all the things you're teaching, it's not taught in schools. Spirituality,
Yes.
relationships, how to be organized, entrepreneurship, business, all that's not taught in school, and it takes some dedication and focus. So I appreciate your efforts as well and what you're doing, helping to get this message out across all your mediums, the magazines, podcasts, websites, all that. So you must be very busy, but I'm very appreciative of your efforts as well.
Thank you, Vince, and thank you for all that you do. And we're definitely going to have you come back because we can't get enough of financial literacy because I believe people need to hear this so that they can be better. Simple as that. So
Great.
thank you for all that you do. And audience, thank you. And we appreciate you and blessings. Thank you to our guests and you, our valued audience, for stopping by. We truly appreciate you. Many blessings to you and yours.